A swordsman clan that rules over half the world. Runcandel, that people in the famous clan of swordmasters were born with powerful bodies and exceptional talent and really at the top of the world with their dominating martial prowess. And there was battle, plunder, and possession, which are types of actions. A world of survival of the fittest that justifies those three actions, and that was the clan Jin Runcandel was born into, who is the youngest son of the Runcandel clan. At the selection ritual that foretells a child's future, he selected the patriarch's sword and marking him as the child that grabbed the fate of the patriarch. And he selected Burasada, and which is quite interesting, he also believed that there would only be success and glory in his future. However, he had no talent in swordsmanship as the descendant of the Runcandel and asked if it was bad for a sword, which is a disgrace of Runcandel and dishonor of Runcandel, falling far behind average in the Runcandel run, and he was called the least talent of Runcandel ever and asked his little brother if he's just swinging the wooden sword pointlessly. But the guard told him to leave him alone, that maybe he doesn't want to grab a sword unless it's a special sword. They asked him where did he put Burasada and swinging a mere wooden sword instead, and called him useless bastard because he doesn't answer their questions. They asked him further why he did even swing the sword when it's all pointless as he was kicked down. The man saw a basic swordsmanship theory and he think he can get somewhere by studying the basic swordsmanship theory, and he said that is why he shouldn't give chances to those who can't, as he was about to break his sword. But Jin stopped him not to break it, that it's because chances are given and they don't know their place, and which is why they end up with worthless hope. They grabbed Jin's hair and told him they are helping him as they break the sword, and he said he was doing it because they care about him and asked him if it was the one of the manners that his nanny taught him. Gilly has nothing to do with it, seeing as how he's still fighting back, and he thinks they need to give him a real lesson in manners as his big brothers. Torn from his older brothers and his pathetic talent, he thought none of that mattered, and he thought he just had to work hard. That with enough hard work he will receive his family's acknowledgement and he'd get to become a proud member of the Runcandels, and he sincerely believed that as well. Jin Runcandel, from that moment onwards he was expelled from the clan because his hard work is commendable. They told him they won't kill him. At the age of 23, he was expelled from the clan and ended up being a vagrant with no destination, and that was around when he met his master, and that was when he found out that he did in fact have talent, and it was the forbidden act within his clan. A talent for magic. 3 years later, by connecting the man that exists within nature with the magician's mana, he can recover his mana and strengthen the next magic he casts. Jin is soldered, the master of all shadows, as the god of shadows, as he proposed a contract, and if he contracts with him, he can not only use spiritual power, but he can also nullify all curses. Jin told the contractor that he seems to have bought someone's wrath at a young age, and he was unable to draw out his talent due to a curse so insignificant. And it's a curse called Bladed Illusion, a curse that represents one's talent for the sword, and it must have been a painful curse for a Runcandel like Jin. And the contractor said it was the reason why he was drawn to him, and from that moment onwards, no curse may harm him. All that is left for Jin is to become the magic swordsman of the century, as the contractor said he shall be watching over him with pleasure. And it was like Solder had said, when he grabbed the sword he had given up on, he could see a new level, and the sword is like it weighs nothing as he was swinging his own arm. The least talented boy in the history of Runcandel, and if he adds magic, he will be no more. Finally, Jin's hard work is coming to fruition and he hears screams as his body feels heavy for no reason. Jin was just destined for nothing as he didn't even get a chance to use magic or solder its power, and he thought maybe he was given a chance. He saw people from his clan. Jin knew he was dead as he awakened and didn't know what's going on with him. Gilly addressed him as young Master Jin as he did a good job, but Jin was still surprised to see Gilly as he saw a sword called Burasada. It's the selection ritual as Jin returned to the past when he was just a 1-year-old baby. And in his past life, he grabbed the Burasada sword as a coincidence, the patriarch's sword that the youngest young master grabbed as well. Jin thought to himself that in that life he will be choosing himself. The old man thought about how the patriarch's blade, which is the youngest young master Jin, has selected Burasada. The selection ritual ends as they move the youngest to Storm Castle. 6 years later at Storm Castle, and Jin thought it's already been 6 years since he came to Storm Castle, and following the rules of the house, he needs to stay stuck there until he is 10 years old, and in which he still has 3 years left. The servant girl entered the 4 young master's room, where a dead bird was found, and the only one who would do such a thing inside the Storm Castle is unknown. Jin called out to his brothers that the servant girl found the dead bird, and it was just a waste. Daytona Runcandel, who was 9 years old and also 11th of the 13 Runcandel siblings, and Haytona Runcandel, who was 9 years old as well 12th of the 13 Runcandel siblings, and said he got to show Jin himself and asked him if the gifts from his brothers is good, and asked him if he is touched because he was going to cry. Jin thought in his mind that those brothers he knew became infamous as murderers after becoming flag bearers as kids who aren't even 9 years old and killed an innocent bird just to mess up with him. His brothers are so wicked to him and asked him if he can't hear them because of the dead bird they gave him as a gift, and asked that he don't have to pay attention to them because he chose the fate of the patriarch, and said further that why would such a person walk around empty-handed without barasada, and they both gave him a punch because he was being noisy and told him to shut the hell up. Jin as well threw up his own fist and said he had held back for him, and until now, and not anymore, that from that moment onwards it will be good if he doesn't come to his sight. Khan asked Jin as he beat up his brothers and knew they suddenly started fighting, but Jin told him to hear him out that those two people fought each other and then both collapsed. Heitona says he expected that even the youngest Runcandel is brutal, and Khan said he will take Tonas to the doctor. But Jin said that his brothers have somewhere else to be, and he told Khan to follow him as he ducked his brother inside the forest in a rainy night. Young Master Jin, are you thinking of leaving them there? Asked Khan, and said further that the storm will continue to get stronger. Jin said his brothers need to understand the severity of what they have done, and Khan told him he will respect his decision, and the energy he felt wasn't aura or mara, and if that's the case, the event wasn't a simple fight between brothers and he will need to report to the patriarch, and took a horse. Jin thought he knew Khan was going to report to his father because Khan is their guardian knight and also their surveillant, and because it would look like magic to Khan's eyes, so there's no way he would stay still. Spiritual power, which is the proof of the contract between Jin and the Solderate, and thanks to his power, he have figured out that the contract is valid in that life as well. And on top of that, with the curse immunity is bestowed by Solder on the contractor that he could escape the curse of bladed illusion in that life, and now the dunce of Runcandel is no more, and from that moment, his life will be very different to his previous one. And the only thing left to him is to meet his father, the youngest against the Toner brothers, as Khan assemble the knights and will first meet the youngest knight. One of the knights told Khan that they had assembled the 7 knights of Runcandel and the Zoo knights under them as they were going to Storm Castle. The knights asked of what of the sudden assembly order and asked Brother Dipus if he knows anything that she has asked Big Sis Luna, and she didn't seem to know anything either. Mary Runcandels is the 7th successor as she was busy knocking out those magicians before. Dipus Runcandel, who is Runcandel's 4th successor, said the Tona twins will arrive at the Storm Castle next year, and so he don't think it's because of them, or maybe he's planning to go see their little brother. That their little brother chose the patriarch's sword in the selection ritual, and Mary said even if he chose the fate of the patriarchs, will it be necessary? And Dipus said they can never know everything that their father is thinking, and Mary and Dipus both apologized to their big sister Luna Runcandel, who is Runcandel's 1st successor. Luna thought to have their father go see him in person and thought if their little brother is useful as well. The servant girl is seen dressing up for Jin. She said she can't believe Lord Patriarch is visiting in person and asked if he's coming to see the young masters, but Jin said he doesn't know and he thought it looks like Khan reported to father properly. Since Khan has an inflexible personality, he wouldn't have concluded that he would use magic right away, but rather he would have reported exactly what he observed. The youngest son who uses an unknown power that is a mana or aura, and in which father is coming to observe the power himself and to determine whether or not he will be of help to the future and the prosperity of the clan. All the knights all bow before Lord Patriarch, and the Lord tells him to call on the Tona brothers, which are Daytona and Heitona. The Lord, who happens to be their father, said he has heard that they've had a quarrel with Jin and asked them their mistakes in those quarrels, and they responded that they have done nothing wrong and that it was Jin who struck them first with an unknown ability. And it wasn't aura, but like magic of some sort, and concluded that magic is their clan's taboo, and that if Jin uses magic, they should interrogate him before he hides any. The Lord told his son to engrave what happened within their hearts and told them they will never survive in a Runcandel like that. Their father, Sciron Runcandel, the strongest and coldest man he has ever known, told his sons to bring Jin to his presence. The most powerful being of that era who has reached the level of a demigod, the Genesis Knight. They said he was once a normal man, but after reaching the level of a demigod, he lost all the emotions that made him human and became a being that only had a blind obsession directed towards the clan and its prosperity. And to a father like that, someone who didn't have any talent for swordsmanship like him, said Daytona was as good as nothing. However, it's different at that moment that in that same life, no one will ever be able to ignore him, and Jin enters the room to greet the Lord. His father, Sciron, asked Jin why he addressed him as the patriarch and not his father. Then he said brothers, sisters, and guardian knights that over 100 people of the clan have visited. And so he thought that that was an official visit from the patriarch, and so he chose to address him as such. Then his father considered his answer to be satisfactory. The Lord said he came to the castle due to other reasons, and so for that time, he should address him as his father and also ask him the same thing that he asked his brothers. That what was the mistake his brothers have made in the quarrel? Then he said it was revenge. If one is a member of the Runcandel clan, they must return what they have received, whether it was kindness or hatred, and the Lord told everyone to leave the room except Jin, and some of the knights thought if Jin passed the Lord Patriarch's test. Mary Runcandel told all her other knights to follow the Lord Patriarch's order. Then his father said he had sent everyone else away to ask him something in private, that the Tana brothers told him that he used a special power, and in Runcandel the use of magic is strictly forbidden, because when you learn magic, you can never reach the limit of swordsmanship, and he asked him if the power Jin holds. And he said, if by chance the power is a magic, that he will not get away with it. But Jin thought in his mind that it was at that moment that his father knows of his power, and said he will never let it slide because it's Solderate power. Then he responded and said he did not know, and the power is neither aura nor magic, and he was wondering what to call the power, and asked him to put a name on the power. Then his father said the power is the power that the first patriarch wielded, and that power is the spirit of Barasada, and his father thought that Jin is truly destined to be the patriarch. And he said the power is of Solderate, the god of shadows, because Solder made a contract with the first patriarch of the Runcandels, Sir Tamar, and is the god who was with them since the birth of their house, but after Sir Tamar passed away, Solderate hasn't appeared again to the Runcandels. He said he doesn't know the reason why, but it seems he has returned to the Runcandels through Jin. Jin later asked a question from his dad, that the person whom he called the god Solderate is stronger than his father, and his father replied and said to duel against a god, that he has never fought a god, and so he doesn't know. And definitely was an answer fitting for the most powerful man, as he said he has never fought with God. Then his father told his son that he has asked a good question, and that his innocent question has become another great topic for him, and he thinks it was right for him to come visit him that day. His father then asked him how he wanted to use the spirit of Barasada, and he answered and said he wanted to use it for his clan. But his father angrily said it was a lie, that he had beaten down his older brothers and left them out in the storm, and asked him again that he wanted to use his power for the clan, and told him to answer honestly in front of his father. Jin thought he knew his father won't be fooled that easily, and he boldly told him he wants to use the power for himself. Then his father said it was good that he will be watching his movement from that day onward, and it would have been enough to get the right to use the spirit freely, but his father is looking forward to watching him as well as he thought. He doesn't expect it to go well initially. Jin said he will live a completely different life than before. Mary Runcandel gave out a gift to her little sister that she should boil it and eat it so as to get stronger faster. As they all see a power called a phoenix heart inside the gift she gave him, and he thought that giving a mere 7-year-old kid such a power as a gift is insane either. Mary Runcandel, a 7th flag bearer of Runcandel and a 6-star knight. Her nickname is Stormwide Mary, and she also has another secret name. The southern region's mad woman. To Jin, it's obvious why such a battle-hungry, insane sister would give the precious thing to him, so that he can grow fast and fight well. Eaten at a young age, tolerance to fire is expected, and it increases his growth rate. And then he think about the Phoenix Heart, which was needed for 6-star magicians to safely summon phoenixes. And maybe we'll be able to summon a real phoenix with his own hands. Then Lady Gilly told Jin to eat, because it was Lady Mary that gave him a really good gift before she left, and he should please eat the food while it is warm. And asked his brothers if he can speak already, if he had business with him, and he said it looks quite big for him to eat it by himself, and Gilly was handling it pretty huge before, because he really wants to eat the food so badly. Then listened to the one request and asked him why did they have to do such things, and what will happen if they find out they are digging around. But the Tana brothers answered and said, why should they care that if anyone get in trouble, it will be the youngest, and Daytona said their little brother is a bit scary. Jin welcomes back his big bros, that those guys got back sooner than he expected because they are both holding a cutlass and knife. And Haytona Runcandel yelled at him that they have done what he wanted them to do and he should give them the soup right away. And he told them as he pointed to the table that he left some over the table. But what was on the table was so small, and it's a bit of teaspoon, and they told Jin that what he left for both of them is too small for them. Then Jin said he only said he will share, that he never specified how much he will leave for them. So he said he share as promised and told both of them to enjoy their meals. Jin thought they'd half-ass it, but they did it properly like he asked to do it, for the thickness of the 1-star spell should suffice, and was frustrated because he kept accumulating mana, and finally he was there. At Runcandel's secret library, Jin thought that the place he couldn't come to in his past life, and it feels a bit strange standing there. He remembered Big Brother saying that a special activation phrase was needed. A child of Runcandel has come to console Murakhan. In Runcandel's secret library is a place held a collection of secret tomes of the clans tagged the Runcandels brought down over the last 1,000 years, and it's big. And it's only a place permitted to the flag bearers of Runcandel. He said it was pointless for him to know since he didn't have the right to be a flag bearer. But his big brothers ended up being useful, and he said he will be needing it as he scales down the Runcandel's secret library down to the core. Then he saw someone and wondered what he was doing. He thought if he is a child of Runcandel, has come to console Murakhan, and it's a black dragon Murakhan. Then Jin said he heard that the black dragon Murakhan lost to the first patriarch and he fell into a deep slumber, and to think that that legend would be real. Then he asked Murakhan where the secret tomes are and asked if it was inside the Runcandel's secret library, and eventually he saw it. Secret tomes from all sorts of clans are there. First, a secret tomes from the once famous Swordmaster clan. The Kunjin clan and its content is a bit hard to grasp with 3-star level theory, and he said he would like to take the secret tomes along, but he could get caught, and he said he could just painstakingly copy it every time he come to the Runcandel's secret library. He was seen reading a book and heard of footsteps, and he thought that there is no one who will come to the Storm Castle library at that moment, and Murakhan, who was black dragon Murakhan, asked Jin who he was, and Jin was also surprised, and he said he doesn't remember anything in his past life about him waking back up. He told himself to calm down because Murakhan is their clan's guardian dragon, and so if he is polite and act like a child, he might go easy on him. Then Jin said to Murakhan the black dragon that as a child of Runcandel, he greeted his clan's guardian, but Murakhan yelled and said to Jin just called him guardian, and said why did those bastards that know nothing treats him as a guardian, and called him Runcandel, that how dared he teach that to people as he get mad at the little pipsqueak, and Jin thought he had got mad at him. Murakhan said he got up because he smelled something nice for the first time in a while, but there is just a little brat whom he regarded as Jin. Murakhan asked Jin that why did he smell spiritual energy on him, that he might have been asleep for 1,000 years, but he still remembered the spiritual energy smell, and it is something only contractors like Tamar would have. And Jin thought in his mind that the only reason why Murakhan woke up is because of his spiritual energy, and Murakhan thought about where the power or energy is coming from, and he said he wants you to run out some things out on him. Then Jin showed him the secret tomes tagged his father said, were the power of the god of shadows, which is Lord Solderit, and he thought he was joking when he talked about the Solderit. The promised 1,000 years contractor is really Jin thought Murakhan, and he told Jin that he have a promise with Solderit, and the person he had to help out according to that promise is Jin. Then he told him he will tell him the details later as he just woke up, so he's a bit scrambled, and he thinks that will be a bit hard for a kid of his age to understand, and he guessed he should formally introduce himself to Solderit's contractor. That he is Murakhan Solderit's proxied his friend and the last descendant of the first beings of shadow, according to the 1,000-year promise, starting from that day that he would be with him, and Murakhan told the Solderit's contractor to tell him his name, and he said he is Jin Runcandel, the 13th and the youngest child of Runcandel. Black Dragon Murakhan. Murakhan Mountain, where the Storm Castle sits, was originally named after the Black Dragon Murakhan. And the Black Dragon Murakhan was a powerful ruler who ruled over the area for many years, and however, 1,000 years ago, Murakhan lost in a battle with Runcandel's first patriarch Tamar Runcandel, and it is said that after giving up Murakhan Mountain and the Storm Castle, Murakhan fell into a deep slumber. And Mary Runcandel thought, however, Murakhan wasn't an enemy, but the first patriarch's guardian dragon and friend. He contractor of God is generally accompanied by a guardian dragon, and yet, knowledge about Solderit's dragon has always remained a mystery, but it makes sense if it is because Murakhan was in a deep slumber. And tag Murakhan is awake. He thought he'd get a guardian dragon as well as he introduced himself to Murakhan. Jin said he will be with Murakhan from that moment, and so he should ask any question he have about Murakhan in advance. Jin thought it's been a month since Murakhan awakened and she began visiting the secret library. And Murakhan said it's been 1,000 years since he fought with Tamer, because Jin asked him why he fought with Tamer then, but Murakhan said how did he expect him to remember that he doesn't know at all. And Jin said there is one thing he discovered about Murakhan, and more importantly, that all of the strawberry pies he had been eating, and his is crazy for strawberry pies. Strawberry pies he had been eating, and his is crazy for strawberry pies. Jin asked Murakhan that why did he come to the Runcandel's secret library, and Murakhan said to Jin that he shouldn't get too upset, and he is doing great for his age tag. The others are just bumming around since they can't even do what he's doing, and that's normally the case. Jin said he used Runcandel, and that is the least he expected of them, and that he had 12 older brothers and sisters, and there is even father, mother, and the elders, and be need to achieve more if he wants to pass them all, and called out if he were the first patriarch, that how much of those books would he have understood. If I compared myself to history's greatest being, and where would he currently stand? But Murakami sighed. When he was his age, he couldn't even comprehend a single sentence from that book. By the theory is not the same as a real battle. He fought well without reading such book, and he also had talent, but not as much as him and Jin thought. If he will never be able to become like the first Lord Patriarch. He is the contractor of Soldaret, just like Tamar, and he also had the brain to read a book like that he is still just a kid, so he trained non-stop and don't be impatient. And if he do that, he will become as strong as Tamar, and maybe he can even surpass Tamar, and he called his Soldaret contractor infinite, and like how Soldaret's power has no limits, it also means that there is no limit to his power as the contractor, and told him not to be downer, sure up that he will teach him a new skill to make him feel better. And he will teach him spiritual release, that it is a skill that beings who use spiritual power must master, and it's the beginning and the end of spiritual use. However, it's extremely dangerous if you use it without proper training, and so he have got to take his time and learn it carefully. And he told him he got to learn mana release firstly, and he said he have done it before in his past life. Spiritual release is mana release and mana transfer, and he need to be good with those two skills. And he will eat training the skills for the next 2 or 3 that he can't teach him any intense skills if he doesn't know even the basics at all. Murakami was surprised when he knew that Jin can also do the mana release power, and it's only the brightest of the geniuses that can do it. He said he really knows that he has a good talent, and he decided to teach him the spiritual release, and bow it looks like. Spiritual release is derived from spiritual shadow, said Murakami, and every shadow from that world is born into the will of the Soldaret.
Well guys, if you like this video and you want a second part, comment below with the word part 2. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell and like the video, but most important, leave a comment. Until the next video.